Therapy can help people improve their emotions, well-being, and sense of control over their lives. It's available for individuals, couples, families, and groups, but it can be a bit intimidating if you don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're walking into. Our 9 News wellness expert, Heather Hahn, joins us in studio to help break it down. Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This is so true because you're immersed in this world, right? You kind of forget, but like for anyone who's never been to therapy, it can be intimidating. So what can people expect?
Definitely. So first of all, when you first get there in your first sessions or even the first few sessions, the therapist will be asking you questions, gathering information about your history, your symptoms, anything else they need to know. And everything is confidential unless you're a threat to yourself or to someone else. There are many different types of therapists based on their personalities, their treatment approaches, their clinical expertise. And there are actually over 50 different types of therapies,
wow,
but only a few of them are practiced commonly. And then unless you're using an app, therapy sessions are usually about 50 minutes long, and they happen either online through video or on the phone or in the therapist's office. And the single biggest factors that produce successful outcomes have to do with your relationship with the therapist, having that be strong, and also the work you do outside of therapy.
I would assume that sometimes it might take a little bit of trying different therapists out to make sure that you're a good match for each other.
Absolutely. It's totally easy to switch therapists if it's not a good match. That actually happens all the time.
Okay. And it's so funny because you see what happens in movies where they're like laying on a couch and, but it can sometimes be further from the truth about what actually happens at therapy.
Absolutely. So the first thing is that something isn't being done to you. You actually are a participant in the work, and it requires that you do work outside of therapy. So therapists do a lot more than just listen. They're trained observers in human behavior, and they're skilled at whatever their research-backed technique is. And so the point of therapy is to change. And so you have to do the work to get its benefits. And for example, the highly anxious or chronically anxious brain changes through practice and repetition of these techniques that you do in between sessions, and no medication can give that benefit. Another thing that happens is you get insights about your subconscious thoughts and feelings and behaviors. And that can be very interesting, sometimes startling, sometimes refreshing, but most of the topics that people bring in have to do with past or current relationship issues, some kind of difficult situation, even something that came up in the last therapy session. And you end up, a lot of times what happens is a client will come in for one problem and realize that there's something much deeper or different that's causing the problem, and that insight helps people change. And then the last thing that happens, or one of the main things that happens, is that the therapist tracks your progress. So they are trained to meet clients where they are and give them solutions based on their current skill level and awareness, and they're required to take notes after every session and really stay engaged in the client's process.
It helps people, I think, right now feel like a little bit more at ease about the process. And I think that it's so important that you pointed out, it's not just the 1 hour session. You have to do the work outside of therapy as well to really make the progress. So really great points that you brought in, Heather. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.